Welcome to the Men Are the Prize podcast. Thank you for joining us. And I am blessed to have Ian on the podcast. And he is our muse this week. He is the prize. Thank you for joining us, sir. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. By the way, I'm a New Yorker. So Biggie, I'm sold already. I love the picture. King of New York. That's what's up. I like that.
Yeah, that's one of my earliest musical influences was Biggie Smalls, even though I'm a Cleveland guy. The very first album I bought at Best Buy when I was I think 11 years old. It was Life After Death.
Okay. I got you a little bit. The first one I bought was Slick Rick, The Adventures of Slick Rick. That was the first one I bought. Had to hide that from moms, that was a little explicit. Yeah. Had to buy that and put that away, but classics nonetheless.
Absolutely.
All right. So I've started doing this and I'm gonna do it now with you, but this is for the audience. The one thing that I am an expert at is just being me and being a man. I am not trained in psychotherapy and psychology and sociology and anything. So what I'm doing here is talking to men. I can't diagnose anything. I can't lead you in the right direction. I hope that this conversation, hopefully it sparks something in you. And if it does, and you feel like you need help, then find a professional who can help you out. But this is just men. We just spitballing. We're just, chopping it up, just talking, opening up a bit. But there's nothing professional here. So keep that in mind as you listen. And maybe this leads to something. So that is my disclaimer. Done with that. And we move on. And let's get started. You ready, Ian?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Here's how I start. If you could, right now, give me a 30-second bio about you in particular. Could you give me one?
I could give it a shot,
All right, go for it.
Go for my elevator speech. So my name is Ian. I'm the host of the No Sympathy for Kings, the Rich Man's podcast. I am Cleveland native. I've been here most of my life, specifically Cleveland Heights. For those of you that are out there in the world that are familiar with Cleveland Heights. 35 years old, family man, corporate social media, marketing, and client customer experience professional. And I've lived a life, and I'm still trekking.
All right, sounds good. Good start. I appreciate that. All right, so as I do with every guest, something I came up with that I love and is my favorite word, and especially when I'm talking to men, the word is prize. I enjoy that because I think I came up with something that when used properly, it really represents us. And we're going to kind of go through a little bit of it each and talk about it and see if maybe it leads to something. Little inner discussion, inner monologue is opening up. But we will start with the first letter in the word prize, and that is P. And the word I have for that is purpose. And the definition of purpose is reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So Ian, what is your purpose?
My purpose may sound a little cliche and maybe oversimplified, but it's just to live well, and everybody has their own, I guess, definition of or idea of living well. For me, it's living as comfortably as possible, approaching things with peace in mind first, more than anything else, taking care of my family, being present for them, being a good friend, a good brother, and trying to, help people in my circle and build a nice, sort of community or circle of success around me. So that's kind of it in a nutshell today. 5-10 years down the road, I'm sure that's a question later on. It'll definitely look more like, I guess more liberated, lack of a better term.
Okay, so pretty quick answer with that. So let's see if we can delve into that. Have you always had that mindset? Did you, actually a better question, did you grow up in that? Did you grow up living well? Okay, there we go. So was your childhood, your early life, did it lead you to wanting to live that way? And open up as much as you can. How did you get to that being what you want to be?
Through, well, you want the long answer, so I'll try to give you a long answer. I'm actually really, I'm more naturally inclined to give long answers. I've been training myself recently to give more compressed answers because I give
Okay,
some long answers.
I
But
understand.
this is clearly the forum for long answers, so I do my best to accommodate.
Right.
Um, I, well, I grew up, in Cleveland Heights, suburban Cleveland, and it was a very diverse melting pot of culture and people. Um, and we had different values instilled in us, from a young age, just in the Cleveland Heights school system specifically. We believed in peace, love, respect for all. So, I let in, I think, a lot with that mindset when I was a youngster in my elementary days. And as I got older and achieved maturation and adolescence, there were different realities of life that we all are exposed to as we grow a little bit older, that are, daunting, scary, saddening, maddening, and beautiful too. So I had like not the happiest of childhoods. There were definitely different highlights and high points, but I, I grew to nurture a very pretty acute depression from a young age, and even a bit of a mood disorder. And I had to kind of like work through that as I transitioned through um, high school out into and set out into the world into adulthood. And what the bridge that got me to the place where I gave you the first answer about purpose was a lot of it was, well, first and foremost, getting with my wife. I've been married for 6 years coming up. We've been together for about 8 years now. And she introduced me to a lot of things that were not only helping calm my spirit, but also that really lent to my mental health and contributed to my mental health in a significant way. Examples would be simple things like dressing for comfort and not just to look all jiggy and jazzy. Embracing calming practices, but also very physical practices like yoga. I've been a hatha yogi for about, I guess, 6 or 7 years now, give or take. I'm very flexible for a guy my size. Um, Also, um, therapy too. Getting with her definitely introduced me to, or reintroduced me to being comfortable with talk therapy, and that was very beneficial to me too. Not only just as like a human being that struggled with these different very human things like anxiety and depression and melancholy and all that stuff, um, but also um, the I guess getting me to a place where I was not catastrophizing everything like I was for a time, and recognizing that I'm a lot better at this game of life and in my career than I give myself credit for a lot of the time. So that's a very abridged answer, but I it's there's a bit more there. I guess you could pick at.
No, you gave me a lot. One thing I feel like with talking to men and bringing up that question, I feel like purpose a lot of times are at least men trying to have the life that they didn't have growing up. I think they're trying to get all the things they did get. So for you, peace, relaxation, being able to appreciate and enjoy life sounds like may not have been the kind of things that you had growing up. So that when we grow up, I want the stuff that I didn't get. And I feel like that.
Absolutely, yeah, spot on the money. And my approach to parenting, is very much inspired by what I didn't feel I had as a kid. And that's no shade to my parents either. I know they did the best they could with the information and the situations that they found themselves in. But I think we owe it to, each generation, to kind of just move the needle a little bit, just push that boulder a bit further up that hill,
Yes, sir.
you know.
Yes, sir. Agreed. And yeah, it's a big thing, especially as, and I notice it when it comes to us black men, when it comes to being fathers, obviously how we were treated from our fathers, it's really, we're going to take it into being one. So, we could have had really good fathers, but we're always going to try to be a little bit better. And, maybe we get a little more introspective, could have done this. I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to do what my dad did. So moving that needle is completely correct. And as long as we continually try to improve, I think we get better, and family and kids, everything. So I agree. And I love that answer. And with that, I'm going to move to the next letter in the word prize. The next letter is R, and that word is resilience, defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So you had, I guess we'll say, an interesting childhood. Give me an example, whatever you want to talk about, of how you grew up and how it built resilience in you.
Sure. So I am, I'm a child of a mixed marriage. My father is black, my mother is white. And I don't think this is really talked about in society. There's so much focus on these different micro conversations around race and ethnicity and social class and colorism and all that fun stuff. But there's not a lot of discussion, at least that I found anyway, to this point about, you know, uh, I guess I don't. I'm just gonna coin this term out. It's I'm not super PC, but like the biracial struggle.
Right.
So when you're a biracial child, at least this is my experience and the experience of some of my other friends who share the same similar heritage. Um, you kind of don't have a home. You don't have a place in the world growing up. Me, I had you know, what I feel is like the benefit of having kind of a taste of two different worlds growing up and having, my mother's family who was white from the west side of Cleveland, definitely more on the affluent aspect of the spectrum. And then I had my father's side of the family who was, very, you know, beautiful black people that were more like working class type folks. And when you're a kid, children are very cruel on the playground. Like I'll never forget the first time I was called the N word. When I was like 6, by another black kid. It was like it was crushing for me. And to know that it was a crushing thing for me at the time, and then it eventually, that word becoming part of like my vernacular, growing up and actually using that socially. It's like it's an interesting contrast now as I reflect on it. But back to the build to the resilience piece of the conversation. Um, I had to grow up a bit young because of the circumstances with my parents, um, and so they just found themselves in just like different, sticky situations, to put it delicately. And I had to not only mature a bit younger because I was kind of conditioned to not be as reliant on people, but also I had to kind of figure out who I was and be comfortable with who I was, and that took a long time. That's like there's no right age for like that maturation of your mind and your spirit and just being comfortable in your own skin. And I've said before that on my podcast, with each episode, that's just me pushing that, moving that needle a bit further to being more comfortable in my own skin. From where I started, years ago, just shooting little visionary streams of consciousness on my phone and just putting it out on Facebook to where I do now, where it's sort of like long form conversation, talk show in the studio space and all that fun stuff. But I had to get to a place where I was, comfortable with who I was, and that I had several different versions of me growing up that I had to kind of like try out. I get a taste of just being, the quintessential, black kid where, where, I'm dressing, with baggy clothes and all that stuff. And then there was the polish phase in my early 20s where that kind of like went away. And I was, not only dressing a bit more adult-like, but also adjusting my behavior and my decision-making process as well. So to go back to, or just kind of like bring it all together, I was put in or I placed myself in a lot of situations that should have just ended me. Like there are times when I look at my life and I just don't believe it. It's like I never saw when I was my younger self never saw me at this point in my life. So it's like I don't want to say it's like a miracle for me to be here today, but it kind of is in its own kind of way. Because there's several just things that happened that should have just completely taken me out. And it was the resiliency that I built over time that kept me going and getting me to this space. I was in a place where I was dealing with the wrong people, getting into a little bit of trouble. Nothing too crazy, but the company I kept definitely, if I hadn't have, I guess, wised up and decided to kind of maneuver away from that, it would have been very bad. Also, just being jobless at different points in early adulthood, that's a very humbling experience that tears you down completely. Like there are few feelings more humbling than having to start from zero. Even though you didn't have much to begin with, it's almost worse when you don't have much to begin with. When you lose that little $7 an hour job at a gas station or something like that, and it just completely just wrecks all of your plans. You're like, you know what? You have everything you thought you were going to do next week. That ain't happening right now because you don't have income. And I've worked some of the most just menial, god awful, minimum wage gigs you could imagine. Whether it was the sales floor at a department store, or working third shift at a gas station, selling magazine subscriptions over the phone, um, unloading 52-foot trucks full of aluminum siding for a temp agency. I had like 19 of those little, air quotes bullshit jobs before I found myself in the one job that I was able to parlay into a career. So, and having that experience, I think was very important. And I think more people should have that experience of just like starting and building something up, because you appreciate, life in a very more meaningful way. And you take a lot less for granted when you have been in that place where you're not sure if you're going to eat the next day, or you lose your job in the middle of over the holiday season and then get robbed at gunpoint. Yeah, these things happen. Yeah. So I've got plenty of stories and experiences I could probably talk all the live long day about. And you know what? Like, to be able to sit here and to talk to you from this space and smoke my pipe and be have this veneer of like this gentleman of leisure, from to be where I was then to where I am now, it's a wonderful feeling.
That's beautiful. The reason I like the word resilience, because to me, it represents a lot. Life is hard enough to begin with. Just growing up in general, being a kid, whether you're a black kid or a white kid, life is hard. Then you add on these external factors. And then for you, I can use myself. I'm Haitian. Both my parents are black. And growing up black and somewhat educated, I didn't attract the eye of the sisters. So I felt like I didn't have that home because I wasn't black enough, but then I wasn't white enough. So I understand when you mentioned that, I'm like, I know exactly where I was, because I didn't feel like I was accepted in either space. So when
Yeah,
you're talking, I'm like, I feel you, I understand. I don't extend your actual experience, but mine
sure.
is similar to what you were going through. But
Hmm.
to go through all that you've gone through and to be, and by the way, that's not a veneer. You are as smooth as they get, brother, by the way. I see you. The way you lit that pipe, you professional. You've done this before. So I applaud you. You
Thank
the
you.
veneer, you have the air. You are
Yeah,
debonair. I can just see it. It comes
thank
flying
you.
off of you. And and that is a testament to all that you've been through. Resilience is an important word for man, especially black
Yeah.
man, multiracial man, to be able to deal with life and then come out better. So I applaud you
Mhm.
for that. We move
Yeah.
on.
In life, as you ascend, depending on what you want to do, some people want to be, a super big shot. Other people are just kind of fine with being, kind of working class and having, and living modestly, and that's perfectly fine too.
Mhm,
But you have to pay your dues at some point,
mhm.
regardless of what you do. Everybody has to start, where we started, with like working those crappy jobs, and because you learn the value of things, and not just the price of things. And that's like that's a big I guess a critique of, I don't want to say critique, but definitely an opportunity, I think, for our people is we know the price of everything, but we need to know the value of everything, not the price of everything.
That's great. That's great. Price versus value. I think that's such an important thing. People don't understand how much something really costs, or how valuable it is until maybe you've lost it or what it takes to get it. But those are two sides of a coin that
Every,
most people won't really understand.
Everybody wants what they had, never what they have.
I feel you. Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. We skip the I because the I is the end of this, and we go to Z. The letter Z. The word is zeal. And zeal
Mm.
is defined as enthusiastic devotion. What are you enthusiastically devoted to?
I'm enthusiastically devoted to emulating and being, I guess, an honorable man and an honorable human being. I'm not just trying to sell, me here, but I really do pride myself on being a good guy, and it's underrated, like the good men that are out here in the world doing, what they're supposed to do and taking care of their circle and elevating those around them, as best they can. Like I pride myself on being a good guy. I pride myself on being an opportunity giver, where I can, because there was a time in my life where somebody extended an opportunity to me. So I'm a firm believer of paying it forward. So like it definitely gives me zeal to just lift people and give them light. Because giving others light gives me light in a really weird way, and that sounds pretty cheesy, but that's really how I feel. I'm the type of guy that like I still walk in the streets and say good morning to folks, in passing and stuff like that. You never know what it's going to do for somebody to do some simple things like that. They could be having like a trash day, up to that point, and you just like, tipping a waiter or a waitress, a little bit extra, or just saying hello to them and giving them that that piece of humanity that they need to kind of get through their day. You may have stopped them from doing something drastic just by being kind to them. You know,
True.
like that is so important. Just to be better. So I'm all about you know lifting others, and of course self betterment. That's like again part of what I guess my podcast is about. It's all about helping people on their journeys to self betterment by sharing stories and experiences of like-minded people who may be entrepreneurs or business people. People that want to do something with themselves. And make their impact.
Okay. I like that answer. I like that. I'm trying to think. If you could narrow it down, what any one thing that you do in life gives you the most enjoyment, maybe the most pleasure, like the most satisfaction. One thing that you do that you feel best about after you've done it.
Uh, I'm giving a selfish answer. My From a selfish perspective, my self care regimen. So for me, that comes in the form of bicycling, physical activity. You know, I always feel very I get that boost I need when I take a run, you know, in the morning or something like that, or if I ride my bike for like 10 miles or whatever, or do some yoga or take a nap, or you know, things that just for me help me decompress because you know, as men, as black men, as human beings, as you said, life is so very challenging and difficult for all of us. And it's important that we have those outlets to kind of just loosen up the screws a little bit and decompress. Uh, you'll find that you make better decisions. You find that you approach things in a much more healthy way,
Mhm.
and it's going to lead you on a successful path by practicing that self care, whatever it looks like for you.
Self care is, I don't want to say taboo, it's just not spoken of enough, especially with men. We're raised to take care of others, to support others. So when it comes to taking care of yourself, it's not something really discussed. But it's a really good answer because, in my opinion, if you are taking care of yourself, the better person you are, the better you can help the rest of the people. An unhappy person is probably not as likely to say hello to somebody in the morning when they're walking or to give that extra tip when they're in the restaurant. But a person who takes care of themselves and has self esteem and feels good is just a light on the world, a bright light, a positive light. So you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, not only are you taking care of yourself, but you're extending yourself to the world. So I applaud that also. You take care of yourself, you take everybody else around you. When you're better, your wife is better, your kids are better, your family is better, your community is better, your colleagues, your patients, if you were a doctor, your customers, everybody around you is better. It's a small spark, but I feel like it leads to a lot. So
Yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
small thing. Self care is a big thing, especially for us men. So,
Yep. And we have to remind ourselves and each other to do it. Like I still have to be reminded to take care of myself. I was just reminded earlier today, just talking to someone just about, you know, just I guess I felt misaligned for a little bit recently, where it's just like, the cup is full and it's about to spill over,
right.
and I had to be reminded of the advice that I give so many others in my life,
Mm-hmm,
like, you know, you gotta
mm-hmm,
take care of yourself.
mm-hmm.
You know, so like I'm not always you know, Mr. Zen, you know, 24/7. You know, this is like this is a more polished version of me, obviously. That you know, I'm very human, and I go through, you know, my dark phases, and I deal with very serious issues, you know, in life, as we all do. And it's wonderful to come out on the other end of that. It's just that sometimes you have to embrace, you know, what my therapist actually told me. It's like you have to embrace the suck of it, you know, the suckiness of things. Sometimes you have to go through the shit to really come out on the other end. And but there is a light at the end of that tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Agreed. The last letter in the word prize is E. And for me, that word is expectation, defined as a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So, my question for you, it's three pronged. Obviously, we all have expectations about what we're going to be for the moment and in the future. If you could tell us what you expect to be in 1 year, what you expect to be in 5 years, and what you expect to be in 10 years, give us your thoughts.
Now, this is what I expect to be, or where I
What
expect
you,
to be.
well, what you hope to be. We have expectations. This is what you think you're going to be. So if you could plan it out, in a year, I'm going to be this guy, and this is the kind of person I'm going to be, and then 5 and 10.
In a year, I expect to be um, richer than I am today. And when I say rich, This isn't monetary for me, and that's the tagline of my podcast, No Sympathy for Kings, a rich man's podcast. It's not just about money, because I'm not like a monetarily rich guy, by my standards, or I think by most rich people's standards. I'm a middle class dude that's still working it out, and it's afforded me like different comforts in life, obviously. I'm not worried about, not having any gas in the tank or anything like that.
Right.
But I expect to be richer spiritually, emotionally, and I plan to be there by embracing and continuing to double down and reinvest in the positive aspects of my life, and that's uh, my family, my wife and my child, my of course, my siblings and my parents and all that, my friends, and the family I choose, not just the family that I was born to. So I've said this before in my personal life, but I can confidently say with no equivocation that I have zero haters in my circle. Like I'm surrounded by people that want to see me win, and that's that is such a priceless thing. Like to be able to wake up in a bed in a home, surrounded by people that love me and want to see me win is just indescribably wonderful. And to pick up the phone and answer it and to hear from people that have that same kind of reverence for me and I for them, it's just awesome. I don't have any like, negative Nancy's or Debbie Downers, in my circle. Like everybody I know wants to see me do well. And that continues to push me to be the, the person I want to be in 5 years and 10 years in that retirement. In 5 years, I'll be 40, and I see myself. I'm want to be in a positioned for success or positioned to do whatever the hell I want with the rest of my life. I won't be. I don't think I'll be doing all of that in 5 years, but I do believe I will be positioned to make those moves in my 40s if I stay on this course. In 10 years, I want to do whatever the fuck I want. Like whatever I want to travel. I want to grab my wife and take her around the world and enjoy ourselves. I want to be surrounded by friends. I want to just, I want to be in a place where I'm not just like necessarily punching the proverbial clock. I want to be on my own time and living on my own terms. So that's I guess where I see myself at 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years.
Excellent. Excellent. Um, so I like the word prize, so I use it as, I guess, my mantra. And the four letters around the I represent the mantra, but you finish with the I in the middle, in the center. So to me, if you understand your purpose, you've been resilient dealing with life, you know what your zeal is, and you have a good expectation about what you want to be, then you reach the I. And the I to me is exactly who you are. And what I mean is when you strip away titles that are kind of given to us that we embrace, and I'm with you, I happily do. But when you take away father, husband, best friend, boss, anything else, when you take all that stuff off and it's just you in the dark room and you're contemplating, who am I? Who are you?
Hell of a question. I am at my core a very caring, um, sentient, empathetic, at times sensitive, just being that has no ill will toward anything or anybody out there. So I guess me in my purest form, I'm a guy that that loves to love. in multiple aspects, not just romantic. And I am still, though I have my dark days for sure, I'm still a guy that wants to believe in the goodness in people. I'm a guy that I invest my largest investments in life to this point have been in human capital. My investment have been in relationships. To me, that's just like it's worth more than gold. Your relationships, because when you lose money or you trip up and you fall and you stagger through life, it's those relationships that will carry you through those troubled waters. So I guess at my core, I'm just a guy that loves, or at least I try to embrace people, and just I just wanna do good.
It's good. And you said empathetic. I think that's one of the words you mentioned. Empathy is such a beautiful, yet at times rare characteristic. I love
Hmm.
empathy. I feel like if you can really be empathetic, that means you can recognize your surroundings and the lives that people are living, and to understand and to care enough to kind of recognize what they're going through. It can only help you as a man, and it helps you as a husband. It helps you as a father. I like these characteristics that are there before you became something else. You can only be better at those things that we do later on. I love empathy. I'm still working on that. I think I'm empathetic, but at times I don't feel it. And I'm like, I got to, because I don't know what that person went through,
Oh,
man.
oh yeah, there's times when I miss the mark too.
Yeah. And we all do. Oh no, we all do.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
trying to reach the mark is just as important. Recognizing we're not perfect and that we're always trying to be better, I think is an important decision to make and to know about it. So I hear empathy. I already know that you're a good
yeah.
person. Mhm.
And you touched on something paramount there. Empathy is a choice.
Yes, sir.
Like
Yes,
everything else
sir.
you do in life. Like even though I say I am this guy at my core, I'm still making a decision to conduct myself that way.
Right. That's it. Conducting yourself as a human being, a good human being. Therefore, you're going to be a good man. So thank you very much. I appreciate you going through this kind of questionnaire that I kind of came up with.
No
Um,
problem.
we're going to end that part of the conversation with this. So you gave me a quick 30-second bio in the beginning.
Mhm.
Now, considering what you expect your future to be, if in 10 years I ask you that same question, give me a 30-second bio about you, what would that bio be then?
10 years from now, me, based off of the answer I gave earlier, I am I am independently wealthy guy, monetarily, who is enjoying life at a professional level. I want to be a professional life enjoyer, if
Like that,
Lord willing.
enjoying life. That's great. I love that. I love that. Enjoying life professionally. I'm skilled. I was trained to enjoy life. I really like that.
Yeah, I really want. Yeah, I really would say I'm in a place where I do things that bring me joy and and nothing else.
That's excellent. I strive, I aim to kind of have the air. You seem comfortable. You seem life can be hard, but you seem like you're handling it well. And I applaud you for that. And with that, can you tell our listeners how they can find you and hopefully reach that air, that debonair air, that free enjoying life, that professional enjoyer of life? How can I get to you and hopefully learn from you and be that man? Where are you?
Yeah, I am kind of everywhere. So my priority from a promotional perspective is to plug my YouTube channel. That's No Sympathy for Kings, a rich man's podcast on YouTube. I'm there. I have content there. I also upload content to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you find podcasts. My social media is at No Sympathy for Kings. That's No Sympathy, the number 4, Kings with an S. That's on Instagram. I do have a TikTok channel that I admittedly neglect. I'm heaviest on Instagram. I can't figure out TikTok yet.
Me neither. I'm eventually going to get there, but I understand what you mean. I'm struggling myself. Yeah.
Yeah. So No Sympathy for Kings on YouTube and at No Sympathy for Kings on Instagram. If you don't follow me anywhere, follow me there.
Okay. Excellent. I'm going to find you. Everything you mentioned, I will put in the episode notes. So if you want to find him, you know where to find him. Great conversation. I appreciate it so much. The way I will end it with you, as I do with all of my guests, is I love quotes. I think they're fun. I think people have gone through situations and a proper quote kind of really explains what they went through and it helps. So the quote I have, and it's a quick one, but I enjoy it. The greater the success, the more it was due to one thing: focus. And that is by Shane Parrish. So I think with that, we struggle. We have dreams, desires, hopes. We want to do things. We're going straight down this path and something happens. You got to turn right. But we come back and we keep going. Something else happens and we fall and we're stuck on the road and the cars broke down. But we fix it and we get up and we got to keep going. We have to be focused on our objective. When I saw that quote, that's what I think of it. I think it's being just, this is what I'm going to do. No matter what happens, I'm going to reach it. And when I listen to you, that's kind of the feeling that I get. You've been through some stuff. You're going through some things. You're not exactly where you want to be yet, but you know where it is. You know what it is, and you're still going in that direction. And you're focused on getting there. So,
thank you.
No problem. So, Ian, thank you very much for doing this podcast with me. I appreciate your time. Everybody, find No Sympathy for Kings. Find him and find his podcast. I'm sure it's as inspiring as it was just to hear him talk. Thank you for your time and listening to Men Are the Prize, the podcast where your inner monologue is revealed. Have a great day.